Welcome everyone to the 260th weekly MLP Drawing School live critique stream. It's February 23rd, I guess. Wait, is it already the 23rd? Oh my god.
I know. March
I'm
is
waiting
like
for the month
literally
to
next
end
week.
so I get money.
Please, time go backwards. I have a lot of things, a lot of exams, a lot of things happening. Okay, that's it. I just clicked the desk. Can we start over?
No, there's no starting over. There's only moving forward.
Now I have 2 bruises.
Stop doing that.
Right before you started talking, I yelled because I hit myself in the face with the pen I was fidgeting with.
Oh no.
But then you were talking, so I tried to not say anything. Now I'm just
appreciate
talking,
it.
so I'll say all the things.
So as you can hear, we got a small army of people joining us today. We got crawling out of the warm little nest they've built, CPC.
Hi, I'm gonna go back. It's softer in there.
There's Fluffy's Eye currently searching for another warm nest. Probably
I have a
filled with
bunch of plushies. Actually. That's good. Yeah.
Plushies? Lots of them.
My plushie nest.
There's Alleyclaw currently trying to not be commissioned to make 10,000 plushies for this nest.
My hands, they would hurt.
And there's Pixie Nope trying to not make a nest out of spiders.
Hello. Hello.
I'm sure the spiders would make very nice silk bed sheets for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was about to say silk would be
What are a few creepy crawlies when you can have spider silk bedding?
I love it. 100%.
all
right.
natural, organic,
Absolutely.
Organic spiders fed on a vegan diet.
A diet of vegans?
There's actually vegetarian spiders. There's only one species of them. Well, no, I think there's multiple species. They all live in the same place. They're closely related. And they eat bugs sometimes, but they're...
As always, if you have any art, please fire it at our heads at high velocity. The higher velocity, the quicker we'll get to it. If you got any questions, direct those directly to our email. You can find that through a Ouija board. And yeah, let's just get into the art. First one is a potential spoiler, so you're warned. Spoilers, maybe. Spoiler.
Spoil.
Mute now or forever hold your peace of spoiler.
We still aren't sure. The showrunners aren't sure. Things are subject to change. But it is a horse.
It's like the milk that I've got in the fridge. It's spoiled.
Oh my god. I found a little carton of milk in the back of the fridge that was 8 months out of date. I was disturbed. I had to open it.
Oh no.
Hey Len. Hey Len, as an FYI, the first picture we're doing is a little bit of a spoiler.
And not just like the fin on the back of the car.
Oh, the first picture we're doing at the moment is a spoiler, so if you join the Aggie, you will see that. But we're going to delete it once we've done it.
that's fine.
Cool.
Pokey.
All right, bottom right-hand corner is said picture. This is by Supermarine Spitfire, is my understanding?
Yes. And they wish to, with the new ponies that came out, they wish to try to understand how the hey do people take something and rotate it in their head and figure out a thing from all angles when you're only presented one angle. I mean, my answer to that is you bullshit. You bullshit a lot and you make things up because when you don't have all the information, all you can do is fill in the gaps. Doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to be how you interpret it.
Yeah.
As for rotating a pony, there's plenty of references out there. So don't get caught up in, like, if it's just the character design and you just make it up as you go. That's all you can really do as an artist. It's not helpful, I know. It's not. If anyone else has anything more helpful, but
No, I think you're pretty much right, but they've also based it off of a known sort of reference. Like they know what they're going for. Little horses. And I know for a fact, I have insider information on this. You've drawn little horses before.
Whoa.
So you can take those little horses you've previously drawn and bring them over to the little horses that you are drawing, and you can find a nice medium. It's probably not going to be the same as what they might end up on the show for, what is this, season or series 6?
Gen 5.
Gen 5? Okay. It's probably not going to be the same, but that's fine, because artist interpretation of material of only a few images that have been slipped under someone's door, hidden, don't worry about it. Have fun with it. This is your time to play with new potential characters, or just call them OCs, whatever you want, because they possibly might not be real.
The good thing about this and this character and all that sort of stuff is like your question is sort of how do I rotate it so that I can like know the other angles of this character, how they look from different angles and that sort of stuff. The good thing is other artists have already done that, and you don't need to think about it. You can look at their art as reference, steal the alternate angles they've made, and boom, you're done. You don't need to do any work. Whoa.
And I know, because I know they actually brought up how they want to do it themselves. But the thing is, don't be afraid to take from other people. You either make your own choices or you take from others. In either way, it's still a mishmash of whatever you want it to be. So don't feel like you need to be truly original, because that's not really a thing in art. At least I've come to believe myself. Like, there is no such thing as
Mm.
truly original all on your own. It's a kind of like a mishmash of everything you accumulate and everything you look at and stuff. So
Yeah. Like
One of-
the way to get to the point where you can do all that sort of stuff is just to mess with character design and play with character design until you get to the point where you can sort of, as Ali said, just fake it and make it look like your own.
yeah.
Like the official how they appear on the show when Gen 5 actually launches or when we see more from them are probably going to be different than all of the pictures that, all the
I mean,
fandom artists are posting at the moment, but that doesn't really matter because they're,
the movie's gonna be 3D, so this could just be like I don't even know what this could be. Like, their final form is going to be in 3D, so I don't know.
Yeah. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if it differs too much because like as we've seen with like, Starlight and the million different ways that people interpret her hair.
Oh, I
It,
hate that hair.
it's pretty yeah, it's pretty fun. You like so long as it looks okay, it's going to be okay. And this and the million artist renditions and
Yeah, man.
all of them look like roughly close enough anyway.
Mhm.
Still highly subject to change. Look at the pictures we originally saw of MLP Gen 4.5 or whatever we're calling that. Very different than what rolled out on the series, and very different than what rolled out in the movie.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
these horses are good.
Yeah, and it's great to see new characters to draw.
yeah. Oh, I'm
Keep
so excited for that.
with these because they're drawn like sort of side to side like this. It's kind of assumed that they're like roughly sort of similar. So just keep in mind lining things up and all that sort of stuff because it helps a lot. It'll help everything feel a bit more consistent and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And you can like the good thing about drawing characters like this and then just like putting them right next to each other is that you can just like draw a bunch of lines across, and then when something looks accurate from like this direction, for example, you can steal it for this pony that you're drawing. Yay, stealing measurements and do that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think this looks good. Just
Oh my god.
keep on sketching and throwing us more stuff and all that sort of thing.
The
Is it-
moral of this story is to have fun and just just having fun and just making it work is better than being accurate usually. Like looking
Mm.
nice and having fun can be better because like if you stick to the show model for some of those pony hairstyles, it again,
it
I
breaks.
hate Starlight's hair. I'd rather do anything other than that comb over they gave her.
Even Rarity's. The bob moves left or right depending on the side of the camera.
Yeah. Good point.
Something actually that is interesting is that if you're looking to draw this character from a different angle, breaking it down into pieces, into interesting elements that you can steal specifically. So, for example, this hairpiece, front hairpiece, side hairpiece sort of thing, that is one element, and no matter which direction you draw her from, that is an element that you can apply to that. You've got the whole hair, one side big and the other side like kind of small. That is sort of an element that you can like look at, see, okay, this is sort of how it works. It sort of makes these kinds of shapes. Cool, I can reuse that. I'll make sure to reuse that when I like draw them from a different angle and that sort of stuff. So like noticing which elements specifically make this pony special lets you basically know, hey, I can use this element when it's in a different pose, when it's in a different angle, that sort of stuff.
Something I'd like to point out is the hair swoop that's on the left one. I would do it on the right one as well to represent like the hair is different in different angles. That's kind of an important part of the hair, I feel like. And I always put those if I want the hair to look more voluminous, but make it look like it has more volume. And if it doesn't have it in the front view, it kind of looks flat compared to the side view.
Yeah, very specific shapes and angles and stuff.
All right, shall we move on to our next one?
Let's do it. I'll get it off the canvas.
I know.
You
I'll
guys
delete
are gonna
my
have to
stuff.
like remove your doodles over it in case the vague horse like doodles. Unspoiler.
Bam.
No more
Deleted.
spoiler.
Okay. I want to poke Fluffy's eye.
I did.
Poke,
Woo.
poke, 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 poke.
Poke.
Pokemon.
CA. Apparently, someone did contact Equestria Daily to take down the imagery from their website, so would not
Are
be
they putting up
shocked.
spoilers too?
They always do.
Yeah, they always give the pony news.
It's news. Listen,
What news
they're
are you taking
trying
down
so
then?
hard for any news right now.
It's true. They're in a little bit of a desert drought, so to say.
All right, so
Are we doing the top one?
top left-hand
yes.
horse. Yes. Well,
Hair
hair.
time.
Yes.
Just hair. This is just hair. So this is by Zara. You might know them from pretty much all of our streams now. They're like long-time caller, first-time listen. No.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They're one of the cool kids.
So they drew a bunch of different hairstyles, and their post is attempting to draw hair. Not sure if I'm successful in doing so. I'd say there is something on top of the head that is more than just a hat. That is successful hair.
Yeah.
Zara, at this point, it's a game to butcher your name. It's kind of a hobby, really. I should really work at Starbucks.
I'm just
So-
pulling up a handy dandy reference on Bing.
Hell yeah. Wait, were there any questions, or was it just general with hair?
Well, they're actually in the chat, so we can holla.
So, do you have any specific questions? Because
Twilight face.
How's the hair? It's hair-like. You-
How to
How to-
hair.
see, that is a broad question, and we can tackle it several different ways. But my 2 cents would be, I definitely see the Equestria Girl's hair going on in here. I would go away from actual Equestria Girl hairstyle because I think you're going for semi-realism, I believe. So you have a lot more texture and stuff going on, and the way Equestria Girls is animated is 2D Flash, so it's very flat, and you don't get the volumes that you would get, with hair. And it helps to really branch out on those references and get other artists' interpretations of those hair. Like we were talking about in the last image, steal as much as you want from other artists. It's out there. Someone has done it and solved it, and now you can look at it and reverse engineer it, and it can be yours. All for the low price of reference. Get a reference. Reference. Ha ha ha. Do you ever draw over the hair? Like, do you ever break it down and feel the swishes and kind of like, ooh, draw over it? I think we bring it up a few times, but that kind of stuff I find really helps me. But maybe it's not as helpful.
It's definitely helpful to analyze references and figure out what am I doing with this. Because it can give you a sort of feel. Like for this one of the problems I have is that a lot of the hairstyles just don't have the volume that I feel like they should. And so like maybe after going over references, you might have and sort of like sketching over them or scribbling over the general areas, you might get an idea of like, oh, you know what, this makes the way I drawn before look a bit flat when I look back at it. Sometimes it's just like the feeling of the picture.
Will we
It's
get in a
hard to
doc?
it's hard to sort of do anime cartoony sort of style here. It's a lot of just like learning which shapes look interesting in your art style, and then learning how to exploit that to make the hair look as interesting as possible. Like you see Twilight's hair here. you might see, oh yeah, that's hair. Yeah, cool. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the very, very subtle downward sort of curve here. And then this little like inward curve, and then this like kind of rough sort of curve thing on the outside here. And like lots of just like very subtle decisions and shapes about like the way that the form is going to be represented and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know who did this drawing, but like
CPC.
I was thinking so. But like this, or every single one of those decisions, every single like direction that they're going, and like the flaring out of the hair here, like boom and then boom and that sort of stuff. It all works super duper well for CPC style, and that's probably just because CPC has just like messed around a lot and played, and they've ended up with this, knowing pretty instinctively which shapes and all that sort of stuff are going to work well in their style.
I have drawn a whole lot of Twilights.
And you'll see that's like just the same thing I'm doing over here with Rarity, is just like playing, experimenting, thinking, okay, which shapes are going to look pretty good in my style, and trying to realize them.
I would suggest going back and checking the head shape because I think it was a little bit wonky. That's why the hair looks kind of I don't know, out of place. I don't know. But yeah, also floof. Don't be scared of the floof. It's always better with more floof, even if it doesn't make sense.
See, I really like what you did with your breakdown, and what you posted in the voice channel. Honestly, my suggestion would be move away from IRL hair and go to people who have stylized hair. go to other artists, different artists, not just one artist, and break down their hair. Because you're right now, I think the issue is learning how to simplify the hair. So going one step closer to a simplification of the hairstyle you want could be helpful to break down how to get from realism to a simplified cartoon version, and like seeing how someone else does it.
Mm.
Which is like why I suggest other artists. Like if you take the Equestria Girls hair of Sunset Shimmer and find an artist who has drawn Sunset Shimmer, and then like kind of compare how they took the Equestria Girls hair to a Sunset Shimmer hair, which is like the opposite, where it's going from super simplified to a little more detailed, and kind of messing with those scales and messing with other people's art who's already done the journey of inventing the wheel. Um, and work with that and steal those and get more of a concrete idea and hopefully help connect the disconnect you're feeling right now.
There are storyboard art things for EQG floating out around there, and I'm a big fan of like looking to storyboard art for as examples of, hey, how do I simplify this to the absolute very bare minimum where you can only just tell it's this character, but you can really tell it's this character. Like storyboard artists need to like draw same characters every single day continuously and need to draw them as quickly as possible. And so if you look at like storyboard art for Pony, for EQG, for whatever you can find, it's a really good example of seeing like very heavily simplified hair and very heavily simplified elements and character stuff in general. Yeah, it's all practice.
Mm-hmm.
That's some cool stylized hair.
Bunch of different examples of stylization from different people. Yeah.
Right. How's that, Zara? Does that help you move on to the next round? Start drawing everyone with man buns.
It can probably help as well to just like look at bigger shapes. Just like because like most of these hair that you've got here sticks pretty close to the skull. It doesn't sort of deviate super widely from the shape of the hair of the head and all that sort of stuff. Look at bigger shapes and just be like, hey, let's chuck some really big weird shapes that don't work on here, and then try that for a bit and see what works, and then you can dial it back into something half reasonable. But don't be scared. You can make it big. You can make it weird. It's all good, and it's all learning, and it's all just messing about with things and seeing what works.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Next. Oh, yeah.
That analytical part is hard.
Shutting off your brain helps.
I
Let the
recommend it.
swoosh. Hair's just lots of swoosh. Just let the swoosh flow.
So the next picture is by Chemical Barnacle. I tried to draw Pinkie Pie in show style and my own style. So this is the own style, because own style is much more entertaining than show style.
Mm-hmm.
So if you if you look at their post and flip between them, it looks like they basically used the same picture and then just added their style on top of it. So we can work from there.
Yeah.
Changes to the muzzles and lots of fluff. And adding little springy springs to the hair. And ears. And the fetlocks and hooves. Like the actual... Yeah. This. What is that called? The point,
Hooves.
the bone of the hoof. Is that just hoof?
A hoof? It's just a hoof.
Just a hoof, okay.
Yeah.
Other horses don't have hooves.
No hooves. They got banned.
Yep.
They're just not visible. It's too much fluff.
Speaking of fluff, hey Fluffy's Eye. You want to talk about fluff? I know you're dying
Yes.
to talk about fluff.
Fluff is a thing that I like. Let me just zoom in to an appropriate. Okay, there we go. So this I don't know who has run in like a ninja and just like squiggled up her chest fluff with their hoof, because that's the impression I'm getting here. There are ways to do fluff without making it look so like jagged and random. I mean, I will start off with saying you have the right idea, because we'd much prefer to see what you've done here than to see this, because we get this sometimes. It's like, that's not fluff. You do have like the randomization between them. They're going in different directions. Some are joined, some are thick, some are single. So that's good, but it's just a case of sort of rounding it out to be a little bit more soft looking. And there are it's difficult to figure out how to get that down. It's just a case of practice and trial and error and looking at what's soft, maybe looking at references and stuff. I like to do this where the fluff sort of comes out, and this is really hard to see color. The fluff sort of comes out and then goes back in and joins back into where the body is. That makes sense. That's my own fluff style. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to, but it's all a matter of choice. That's what art is. But just have a look at how different artists do fluff, and you can find a way that looks nice and soft, and like you just want to poke it because it's squishy. In other words, she just needs to get a little comb and just comb her little chest floof.
Mm.
There, I've given her one, and she can comb her little floof.
It's all about flow and making everything sort of flow
Yeah.
along similar lines.
Mm-hmm. Like
'Cause
you
it
have the right idea.
reinforces
Like
the
it's
feeling of it.
the way that you've placed it. It's like, okay, chest, and then like the rear of the sort of like feathering of the hooves. It's like, okay, so it's not like all over the place, because if you did it all over the place, it would look too much. You're really on the right track. It's just a case of like trying different ways of using those shapes to make it look less sort of frazzled. Unless that is specifically what you're going for. So she's got this like strands of hair poking out as well. So maybe she literally has just come out of a bounce house, and just
no.
whoa, she's been reduced to just a face and a hoof.
Control
Okay, I did
Z.
it.
Sorry, my eyes.
Yeah, you get it.
I'm blind from now on.
So with the pose, it is interesting, but I don't really get too much of a sense of motion from it or what's going on. You've got the important things with the pose that you've got. The blue. These hooves are very, very strongly planted on the ground. Cool. Here is where the weight is. But how much? There's like a little bit of stuff, a little bit of weight going to the front, and a lot of weight going to the back, and that's not going to work unless there's like a more specific motion going on. Like you saw someone do something like that, and that was sort of how I would take it as well. Is like you have a kick or whatever, something very sort of impactful going on, so that you can justify, okay, they are weighted here, and it is alright. But it's going to be, to make a pose like this work, it's going to be a lot of shifting weight and looking very carefully at sort of how everything works together. You could also, if you wanted them to like be balancing or something like that, you'd probably sort of push it this way, and so like their chest would kind of be over here somewhere, and their head like over here, and then their back hooves would sort of be around about here, and so like this would fall in the center of like the front of the body and the back of the body, kind of thing. But that's just something about the weight distribution to keep in mind. If you look at real animals, like just videos of cats and dogs and horses messing about, and then just like pause it, you'll see they always have like a very clearly defined weight to them and like center of gravity and all that sort of stuff. I think in your picture, the front hooves are very long, and these ones aren't really quite as long. So I'd probably you can make these hooves longer without sort of extending how long they are in terms of this by like curling them up a little bit more. Because like the more that you curl it up, the more length is in there. So don't be too scared to just like curl it a whole bunch.
I think that the pose could be even more exaggerated if the front knees were a little bit bent.
Mm.
As if like they were jumping or something.
Doesn't need to be too crazy. Just something to indicate it.
I feel like it shows just a little bit more the weight that's put onto the front hooves.
Hmm. And with the torso, in sort of the pose that is depicted here, it looks a little bit more natural because on this top side, you've got this sort of pinch. So this comes down, and it's a very like pinched sort of thing. And then down the bottom, you've got this very like stretched out sort of thing. And like a lot of natural poses, natural like positions, and that sort of stuff have this sort of one side is a pinch, the other side is like an extended sort of thing. Just a good good shape combo to keep in mind when you're like constructing poses. Ooh, LD, can we show this thing?
Oh, sorry about that, buddy.
No, good. I
You're
just saw it and I'm
denied.
like, oh my gosh.
Horse.
Horse, of course. Like you see in this kind of pose, here's like the center where their weight is going down. And then there's like a pretty even sort of distribution of weight between here and here. But like, you know, you've still got some stuff going out of it because it's the motion and all that sort of stuff. But it's a good horse though. Super good horse. And I'm
Alright,
excited
shall
to
we-
see some more stuff.
Shall we move on to our next picture?
Mm-hmm.
Meet. Oh, nothing there. We're going down. Down. Oh, shoot. Down to the bottom left.
Bottom left.
It's like a bookmark format or cell
I feel
phone,
like this
guess.
is like a background for a lock screen on a phone.
Yeah. So we went over their black and white traditional drawing last week on this one. And now we have my first drawing digitally. Any tips? Process in comments. I decided to take your advice you gave last week and digitize it. It took me over 10 hours. I scanned the original with my printer and used it as a guide. I used the layers to my advantage for most everything. I used I used it to try different eye colors till I picked one. The cutie mark is hard to make out, though, and I made it big and shrunk it. I'm not happy with it at all. It's meant to be 2 buttons and 8 curved needles to look like a spider.
Oh, I
with
thought it
the
was a
red coming
spider,
out.
so
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Also started my new account. Yeah, okay. So
I think you're doing everything right so far.
yeah, definitely what
The- the-
Fluffy's Eye said.
Mhm.
The important thing is you drew a picture. Yay! You did something.
You're
Yay!
using
Oh, yeah.
layers, you're scanning, drawing on paper.
Much
I
better
think
than my
it's good.
first digital. It's a hard thing to get used to, digital stuff.
Lots of shiny buttons and tools.
Mm-hmm. If it's your first digital, I almost don't want to critique the digital bits of it because you just threw yourself into the deep end of drawing, and you found that 10 hours got you to here. I would honestly say it's time to do some more digital drawings if that's where you want to go.
Mhm.
Learn the tools you're playing with. Whatever art software you are using, I'm gonna guess based on the grass texture, it's gonna be either Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint. Maybe Sai. I know Sai has some brushes,
Could be
but
GIMP.
well, does GIMP even have? Oh yeah, GIMP has texture brushes. Yeah, it's gonna be one
I
of
used
those.
to, that's the first time I used a grass brush like this. When drawing over this stuff, it's fine.
So where I was going with that is draw more. Learn the tool. Learn what works on the tool and what doesn't work on the tool. And oh my gosh, the major pitfalls and weirdness that happens with all these drawing art programs, you are
Mhm.
going to have to start just beating your face against the tablet to get some of this stuff to work some days. And I know it's brutal, but the tablet might take it. No,
I mean,
but
there is a ray of hope. We're in an age where there's so many tutorials now, no matter what your program is. So don't be afraid of looking up tutorials on how to use your
Yeah.
program and what your program can do. They can get overwhelming and sometimes they're boring, but sometimes it's like you find this like cool trick someone discovered in the program that was bit
Mhm.
there all along, and if you read the manual, you would probably know about it. But who
We
reads the
still have
manual?
like times when one of us in the secret chat will come and be like, "Oh, I just discovered this thing you can do with Clip Studio Paint," and it like changes our lives.
It's like it's been there since the beginning, but no one knew about it. So it's like,
exactly. It can happen.
yeah.
This is such a cute pony. It's giving me like G1 vibes. I love the colors.
Yeah.
so if I can give you some direction to go with your digital art program, the beauty of having multiple canvases quickly at your fingertips and multiple layers that you can just sort of copy around and manipulate and do whatever you want. Drawing lots and drawing often is a thing that can happen easily on digital. Because it's easy to undo, it's easy to correct, it's easy to not get stuck on a certain element because you're just a moment away from playing video games instead. It's great. So as an assignment, I'm giving you an assignment. I know it's like homework from the drawing school. Who would have thought? But really, what I would like to see you do is I'd like to see you pound out 10 more pictures. That's a lot of drawing. I don't expect it in a day. I don't expect it in a week. But what I would like to see is you try and put some effort into learning the software. Specifically getting comfortable with the basic elements. Don't go wild and like play with maskings and weird textures and all sorts of adjustments and stuff. Get used to the basic brushes as they are. So grab the brushes and start learning what all these sliders on the side do. Here, I'm gonna play with where my display capture is sitting because we have all these sliders here. So normally they're cut off on the screen just for viewing pleasure. We got all these sliders here. And this is the dumbest simple web one we have. And it still has all of these different things for us to play with. We have things like, of course, brush size. Big brush sizes, woo! Small brush sizes, woo! That's easy enough. You got your min size. Min size is a nifty little thing. If you don't like that little if we zoom in here, you don't like that little thin tail at the end. You kind of want it to end up on a ball at the end. That's what that's for. That helps you maintain a size. You got density. Density's cool. Density's like, hey, I only want so much color coming down. It really shows up a lot better when you go lighter. It means if I swirl over myself, I can actually build up on myself. So if you can see, here, I'll even go lighter because that'll show up just a bit better. Yeah, it starts building up on itself. Density. It's sort of like using a very light marker watercolor that's not bold. Then you got
You don't have to
opacity.
worry
Sorry?
Yeah, what I'm doing right now is just, I've got like a really big, really soft brush, and like you can see, I'm like the more I stroke, the more it builds up, but it only goes so deep until I let go and then start again, and oh look, it's getting deeper.
Yeah.
Opacity.
Opacity feels much the same, but it's actually different in nature and in response. So I'm just going to crank my density up because I like a good dense brush, just like myself. Dense human being. But I'm going to crank down my opacity. You'll see that it's dim, but when I stroke over the same thing, it doesn't actually build up on itself until I release and
Yes.
do it again.
Yes.
That's the difference between those two. I like good high opacity. Hardness. The hardness of your edges. So if I wanted I usually leave my brushes with slight little fuzz on the edge. Oh?
Everything just disappeared for a sec.
Oh.
It's back now.
I leave my brushes with a little bit of fuzz on the edge, so around the harder numbers. But I mean, if I want a soft brush, like a airbrush, I crank that stuff down, give me a big size, and voila, I got an airbrush. Nice, soft, and fuzzy, warm and cute. Fuzzy. And then you got stabilizers. Stabilizers are great. Stabilizers are my favorite crutch of digital. Oh, they're so good. Digital
I
is
don't use
evil in the
stabilizers
I always
anymore.
have mine cranked to 30.
30?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So, stabilizers. Stabilizers are a magical crutch and a wonderful, useful tool. Do not feel ashamed for using a stabilizer. Digital is evil in the fact that you do not have direct proportional response. Everything you do is digitized. That might not have been the exact stroke I did. It's damn close. It's as close as this tablet will do for me,
Like
but it's
the
not.
argument of like the pencil you don't have stabilizers, but you have like natural movement of your wrist and complete control of your wrist and the pencil. So like with digital you don't quite have that fine level of like accuracy, is what LD is explaining. So the stabilizer basically helps make up for that, and it's not a natural thing exactly, but when it's combined with the stroke of your hand, it feels more natural to a pencil.
I highly suggest using one. And don't ever
Yeah.
feel ashamed for using one. Holy cow, they are, I might call them a crutch, but only because I can't use a stabilizer traditionally. I just have to use resistance of paper.
So basically, it's just get used to the basics. Like when I first started using Clip Studio, I used like 3 tools and I put them all in the corner. So to this day, my pen tool, my G pen is on Q, then the blur tool is on W, and then the eraser is where it always is on E. And I have brush smaller on 1 and brush bigger on 2 because those were all I used at the beginning. And then like as I got used to the program, it's like okay, I use like literally the entire keyboard for my art. You learn all the controls and buttons, and I'm still learning things now. So it's just a case of practicing to get the basics down. And once you do, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I know how to control the interface that I have. I know how to make the art that I'm using, and it will feel comfortable to you.
You can make cool art no matter what program you're using, no matter whatever. It's all just a matter of practicing and learning the tool, learning how it
Because then it
works.
will feel
And then,
more natural to draw.
yeah, because like once you have a more decent understanding of the tool itself, you'll find that like learning the art concepts, and all that sort of stuff will become easier because you'll just by default you'll just be able to use the tool without worrying too much about it, without thinking about it really. That's kind of like over the past couple of years or something like that. That's sort of what I've been doing with Clip Studio, and I'm like at a point now where I can open up a canvas and I can draw and I can switch brushes and I can do whatever I want to and I don't need to think about it. And so trying to get to a decent level with your whatever program you're using will sort of help you just like knuckle down and draw pictures and do whatever you want to do in the program.
Oh, and I'm also a big proponent of scanning and of drawing on paper and pencil and then scanning that in. I don't have a very good working scanner at the moment, and I have to kind of lug the whole thing out of the cupboard and set it up if I want to use it. But I did that for years, and I think it's really good to draw with paper and pencil because it's an entirely different thing from digital. It's really not a case of like either or. Like it's a different thing, and I think it's always good to still maintain that like proficiency on paper with an actual pencil. And I think it's really good for learning the basics because you just got lines, you just got the drawing, and you don't have like layers and blending modes and everything. You're not trying to focus on coloring. You're just drawing and learning how to make the drawing look nice. And I think it's a really good basis to keep with you as you're going to digital. So don't think, oh, I have to scan and I have to draw my paper my drawings on paper and then scan it in and using that as a guide because I can't draw it digitally. Like there's nothing wrong with that. So keep doing that if you enjoy it. My chair agrees.
All right. Does anyone got anything else to add to this picture?
Not that I can think of. It is cute. I like it.
All right. Let's roll on to the next one. And Maze, I'm going to say yes to your question. Quantum wave resolution can totally be a stabilizer, but you have to figure out how to actually apply it without boiling someone.
I'm gonna just the science talk that I don't understand. I'm assuming.
I don't know what quantum wave resolution is. I'm just assuming it's going to boil me because it sounds like a good microwave term. Like something I'd see shoved on a microwave.
Kind
Congrats, the new LG microwave with quantum wave resolution.
just hit the button, just out, shoot
It
through
will-
the space.
It will heat up your old mac and cheese 30% quicker.
Oh god.
And the rest of the country.
It heats up your mac and cheese while it's still in its cupboard.
The mac and cheese was heat up the whole time.
All right, our next picture. It is by Circuit Main. Made some art, art for thoughts and opinions. Normally, I don't put up another art for a few weeks while I work on myself as well as try a few things, but in this case, I really pushed harder to follow what was advised to me and wanted to get some feedback. Theme this time was donut and couch. Now, I got a good question for you because this seems fun. How do you come up with your themes? Do you have like a word book that you just pull from, a word generator, or do you just like scroll through a chat and and throw darts at your screen and see what sticks? Like, how do you come up with a theme of donut and couch?
Yeah, I was assuming it was like a randomly generated one as well, but who knows?
Dang it, CPC.
I may not be very focused on the stream.
All right. Do 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 do. Boop, do 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 do. So I've noticed some things are translated on the perspective that the donut is, so we can see a bit of the inside and this pony happily relaxing in here. But then things like this table on the background, whoosh, it has suddenly gone to profile as opposed to being slightly oriented towards us. Where we'd see, a top.
What we need is to have a little. Oh no, I can't draw for some reason. Ah, there we go. Tool's gone weird. Make that 3D.
Yeah. 3D scary, but with enough effort and time and faking it, and whole boy faking it, you can get there.
I mean, you're never not faking it because you're drawing in a 2D screen.
Yeah,
It's
to be
true.
fair, that's true.
That's what you think. I live in the world of 3D.
I have
These
seen you do the 3D VR chat thingies.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a thing too.
Yeah,
Well,
Maze
these
has like,
only
or it
not
could be,
flavorable of us.
or it could be that they have a wallpaper that just looks like they have a table and a door, but it's actually just part of the wallpaper.
Geez, how come your mom lets you have 3Ds?
'Cause I'm a big boy.
My cat is sitting on my desk. Can't do anything for a bit.
Hug them.
Yep, it's illegal. No moving the cat.
Mm-hmm. It's your fate now. You must smooch them.
Yes.
So with this pose, let me. The important things are that this back is going to be big and long. And this like torso thing is going to be like all crunched. Lots of different like crunches. So make sure to add like just little bits of indications of stuff, because it'll make it look a bit more natural. With the lights and darks, I also so you've got this general pony color, and up here you can see I've got like the general pony color. Now if I just like make this color lighter, and then make this color darker, it works, but it's not really as interesting as it could be. So what I do is I have this sort of base color, and then with this lighter color, I also shift it, push it a little bit more towards yellow at the same time as I make it like lighter, and that just like introduces some tasty color differences. And I can do the same thing and shift the dark color more towards blue, and it just makes the colors look a little bit tastier, look a little bit nicer. And it's called hue shifting if you want to look at YouTube tutorials about it and that sort of stuff.
Hue.
All right, we're back.
I'd say overall though, like really good work, and you got like a full background going in too. I know you said you usually wait to post again, and I think it's cool. Like you really pushed yourself this time, and I think it does show some improvement. But just don't forget that it is like a slow process, and things
Mm.
will come with time and more practice. It's always the hated thing to hear, but practice does really help. Just keep working at it and doing stuff and fixing from yourself in the last time and the time before, and but it's coming along really great, and I'm glad to see you're pushing yourself still, and it's really good, and you should be proud. You should be proud. This is good art.
Yeah. With every picture, your eye is improving, and your hands and your arms are improving, and all that sort of stuff. And when you look back on these pictures 6 months from now or a year from now, you'll be like, oh my god, how could I have made something that doesn't meet my standards. But then the stuff that you make will meet your standards. So don't stress too much. You can see a lot of other cool color combos here.
All right, shall we move on to our next horse?
Mystical.
It's a sparkly horse.
Let's
Listen, I
go.
want a donut. Someone get me a donut.
I want a
I
donut.
think I forgot.
Don't worry, LD.
Oh no, I did have dinner.
Okay, Allie.
Hmm?
Get me a lot of oil then, and we're gonna make our own.
I don't know. They might come shoot me down. I'm in Dunkin' Donuts territory.
Bring some when you come to kidnap us.
We'll get another DMCA, I know.
So
a donut munchie certification alert.
I mean, I could put green stuff on it. That would be disturbing, though. It wouldn't taste good.
No, stop.
Just crunchy.
I mean,
little
yes,
fun.
but stop.
All right.
It's fine.
Our next picture is by Claire205715. A Velvet Remedy from Fallout Equestria. First time trying to use an overlay effect for shading. I think it's neat. Is the response. Okay. Overlay. I think it worked well for you. I know a lot of people who do overlay. It works well for them too. Thing to be careful with overlay. It shifts colors weird sometimes. Very weird.
Yeah, if you want it to keep some of the natural colors and that sort of stuff, you can just make it like lighter, or just like plain and simple, like erase bits. That's because that also helps reinforce sort of the magic feeling. Just like these purple lines, like imagine these are erasers on this overlay thing. You can do that sort of stuff, and it'll basically just help make the magic bit of the horn and the body and that sort of stuff like look similar to this actual rest of the horse.
Other thing you can do with overlays. Sorry, am I cutting you off?
No, I'm done.
Okay, you can also do color dodge, which it would have helped a lot with the horn because I feel like
there's a lot of different blending modes that can work well. I like playing with ones to see which one feels the best in the moment. Color dodge can work. They all have like subtle differences. So it's worth looking at which one works best. Like color dodge is very like thick in the saturation, so it can be very bright and vibrant, but can also like over contrast the black sometimes, and it can work well with colored lines. So add is a bit more sort of soft, but towards like using lighter colors, it can be very like overpowering on the values depending on how bright the color is you're using. So it's just play around with different ones to see which blending mode works the best with the colors you're using.
I'd say when you're drawing pictures like this, be careful of the to leave space for the sides. So, for example, I think the side of the head is all good. You've got like this section here, which is just like the side plane of the head, kind of a thing. But with this ear, with the original line sort of going down here, it sort of loses that sense that there is like a bit of a side to it. So you can see that the yellow lines here sort of push it way out there. But even just like pushing it like a little bit will sort of help keep this sense of like, okay, here is sort of the side of the ear around a bit here. You know, because she's looking that way, we're going to see this side of the head and this side of the ear and this side of the whatever. So don't be scared to leave some space there.
Mm-hmm.
The shadows on the side of the face, I think, would blend around a bit more because the head isn't. You got this like direct line, unless this is. Oh, actually, I think it's like a light.
Like a
coming from
spotlight.
yeah,
I
But
think
even so, the light would bend around a character in a way that's not straight because the character isn't flat. The light beam itself, like light moves in a straight line, but when it hits a character like this, where it's going to like wrap around that character. So there's a whole other thing on light and shadow that we can point you to resources for. I would say just remember that you missed a bit of horn shading here, which Mace points out. The other side of the red mane, the red part of the mane. There's also just different ways to use shadings. I like to have sort of like different layers of it. It can look very nice. Cell shading, soft shading, whatever you want to do. There's so many different ways. But yeah, learning that light and shadow is definitely a daunting task, but it can be very rewarding if you sort of take the time to learn to do it. It's not as scary as it might seem.
I think the main thing that could be changed in relation to the spotlight is to make it more obvious that that's just the spotlight and not actually the drop shadows on her body.
Yeah.
You could still keep it just straight, but for example here I can barely see that the transition here because you don't have enough contrast with your shading. So I would just make
See
it
if I can.
this whole
If-
bit
Can someone
darker.
link me the original picture so I can do some like exploring on Clip Studio and I can like throw it in?
my
Yeah.
I know we're all kind of throwing in
Ah.
our how we would do the spotlight takes right now. My suggestion, super simple. I would turn down the opacity you have on the shadow for the spotlight and blur those edges a bit, so it's not such a harsh like line going through everything, but you still get the cone effect of what a spotlight would show. Because a light doesn't
Mm.
have really hard edges, so if you get that nice and blurred a bit, you still get that soft edge, but it doesn't feel like it's like completely cutting through your pony in the way that it is extremely cutting through right now.
I'm just gonna splurge out some fun on a different program that you can't see, and then I'm gonna put it back in.
Something that might be useful when you have like strong lighting on skin or on fur or whatever. You see sort of the lit area here and the shadowed area here, and then you've got this sort of line running down here.
Another
Something
thing
that
that
can
sorry.
something that can be useful is to take the light color, so this color, make it a little bit more saturated, and then shift it sort of towards the color of the light, and then you can have that. It's very subtle, but you can have that color sort of showing a little bit in this sort of zone between the light and the shadow, and that can just be like be a bit of a way to sort of reinforce, hey, there's a surface here that is sort of affected by subsurface scattering and all that sort of weird stuff. So you can do that sort of thing, and it can add like an interesting kind of like effect that just like shows off the shading a little bit more. I like doing it.
The other thing I would do in relation to the spotlight still is I think you still used overlay for that shadow. The problem with that is that it doesn't. I think it's overlay that it doesn't change the whites much. So in really light colors, so you have a big change in the dark colors, but barely any change in the light colors. So if you swap to multiply, it might help that. So the whites of the hair, you can barely see that the line continues there. That way it wouldn't break as much.
Yeah. Okay, I've done some scribbling on Clips to you. Let me just throw this in. I think I actually have one of the things I added was like dust particles in the light. I think I actually had a brush recently that I downloaded that was for that, but I am not going to go searching through my multitude of tabs and like hundreds of brushes to try and find one specific one right now. In a short notice. Let me just shove this on somewhere out the side. Okay, that's the best I can do. There we go. I just sort of just play around with some. Is that actually visible? Do I have to confirm something? I don't know.
We can
Oops,
see it.
didn't mean to do that. So first thing I did was I put on a multiplier layer, just filled it with sort of like a dark orange brownie sort of color, messed with the opacity a little bit just to darken it, and then I erased around where the spotlight was, did a new layer. Actually, I don't think I even made that layer screen. I think I just left it normal and just painted on a light yellow with a brush, sort of like blurring and smoothing and not keeping it too strict. Then I put that, I sort of like messed with the opacity so that wasn't like drowning everything out, and then did an overlay there. So I painted some sort of like light orange towards the top part to give it like a warm color highlight towards the top, and a bit of hue and multiply to make of hue and overlay layers to give it sort of like a darker blue fade towards the bottom to go from like a warm color to a cool color, which also
LD,
sort of
could you
fits in with the.
possibly LD, could you possibly
Oh,
move
it's not on the
over the
screen.
screen? No, not at all.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh no, I was
Come
circling
on.
things, but okay. Yeah, so like the warm to cool fade sort of helps, and it goes, I think, in with like you got like warm colors in the main and then cool colors in the main, so it sort of goes with that as well. And then just added like little bits of dust sparkles, or at least a very, very quick attempt to do it, because when you have a bright beam of light in a room, especially in a place where there's ponies singing, which is probably like a karaoke club or something, if there's a spotlight on them, then there's probably going to be dust floating in the air, and that catches the light, and so you get this sort of little sparkly effect. So it's not very well done because I just sort of threw it on with whatever speckle brush I could find, and it kept doing it way too dense, so I had to just wing it. But I think you sort of get the idea of that. So just like pushing those darks to lights, like really accentuating the light, can really give you this like atmosphere that I think you're going for, and using the colors to that advantage too is good. I do like a lot of like overlay layers. So this is more than I would usually do with this because it's like atmospheric. If I'm doing an atmospheric picture, this is what I do. I will have just like a butt ton of layers that have different blending modes and opacities and masks and things, because I'm just playing with the lighting, the hue, the values, just all that stuff to create the effect that I want. But I find it easier to do that than to draw the entire picture from the ground up with a set of colors, because then if it's like, oh, I need to push this or push that, then you have to go through and just like manually adjust everything, and it can be very difficult to do that. So it's easier for me to make sure the characters' colors and the background's colors and whatever is accurate just in like full light mode, and then put the atmospheric stuff on. That's just me, and obviously like shading would still take into account where the light source is and everything. But it's just I like playing around with this a lot because it can help you to, rather than just your characters have this set of colors, it's nice to have like a little fade going on. So I do that in most of my pictures. I'll do like even if it's just like a character standing on a transparent background, I'll do like a lighter color towards the top right or something, and a darker, cooler color towards the bottom left, because it's just nice to have that little fade. I think it makes it look a little bit more dynamic. But when you're doing an atmosphere like this, it can be very, very cool to use it to your advantage.
You might like look between sort of this one and this one and be like, well, this one is more difficult to sort of see, and you know it's harder to sort of see what's going on and that sort of stuff. But like in hidden parts of images and that sort of stuff, that's like where you can find a lot of emotion and find a lot of all that sort of stuff. So don't stress too much about making everything sort of as visible as possible when you're sort of trying to impart a lot of emotion into it. Sometimes like hiding stuff like or messing about with things like in that picture can like make it look more interesting, more impactful.
Push some little highlights and stuff.
There's a lot of fun ways you can take this picture.
Yeah.
And that is because you've drawn a really good picture and it looks really good.
You got like tri-light sources here. You got the horn and a little bit of glow from the microphone too, and then the spotlight on them is going to be the main contrasting light source, because it's a very, very bright thing that's just like blasting onto the character. So as if I turn this off, you can see on the original. Oh no, it won't let me do that with my tablet. I have to use my mouse. On the original, I drew it on the layer and I posted the thing on top of it, but 'cause that was smart. The shadows, I was sort of like, let me switch layers without my tablet pen. Okay.
I believe in you.
The shadows would sort of go a bit more like this if the light sources. The main one is going to be the horn and also the spotlight. The main one is going to be spotlight, but like the horn is sort of coming from the same direction when it comes to a lot of these areas down here, and then a little bit for the microphone too. So you may have like a little bit of a little bit of a glow, sort of ambiently on the edges, but it's going to be soft, I think, because it's not as strong a light source.
We're saying a lot of nitpicky stuff because like just the picture in general is pretty good. And like a lot of
Absolutely.
this is just
Mhm.
style stuff that you can mess around with and play with and all that.
Yeah, it's like a good picture when we're like nitpicking everything. In general advice.
And that light is pushed.
All right. Does anyone else have any other art they'd like critiqued? Any other questions they'd like to ask? Or any other tablet pens they'd like to find?
I don't know if mine fits. That's the thing.
Oh yes, we
the
wanted to
comic.
talk. Yes, yours. Yours is hilariously long and won't fit on a normal canvas. So we're wondering if we
know.
can just hurl it up on the screen here.
I think we were wondering, are you looking more for like us to look at specific ponies or specific drawings, or are you looking at like sort of the flow of the comic as a whole?
I think I was looking for like how the flow is, but also backgrounds because I'm terrible at backgrounds and like I want to be sure that it's not too distracting, that it's just like a brown blob in the back, you know?
Your words say terrible, but your art says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
My self-esteem says no, but my art says yes.
So, like, okay, can I zoom out on this? No. Okay, so I'm just stuck at this resolution. Like
You can zoom out.
if we scroll down from the top to the bottom, well, maybe I should move this over a bit. Okay. If we scroll from the top to the bottom, we get this nice starry sky thing. I highly suggest adding a little color to stars. One thing you'll notice if you look at the sky, stars are more than white. In fact, white is actually pretty rare. Stars are a plethora of colors that actually ends up only being about 7 main colors with some subcolors based on intensity.
True.
Colors are great. Use them, abuse them, enjoy them.
And the color of
Yeah.
the star depends on the color of the EPP you need in Starbound to visit the planet without having radiation or heat.
Exactly. I love this separation with this tree as it transitions down into this sort of red
Yeah, that's really cool.
thing.
Me too.
Beautiful element to just not do that transition. Like it breaks up that and it's wonderful. And then we bring back into the fact that the moon's there. That's really cool. You've done a really cool job with that stuff.
That's clever. I like that.
That part is stressful because I really like it, but I'm not sure it makes sense.
I think it does.
I mean, we're transitioning into a room.
Yeah.
Or outside-ish. There's like red stuff going on around her.
What?
Well,
Oh,
Is that
that's
a
the
wall
the
or?
horse.
brown, like woodish color.
Yeah,
Triad.
Yeah, that's what I was taking it as.
because we're now in a window. Yeah.
I mean, I think in terms of like backgrounds overpowering, like in a scene, like with this where you've just got like the sort of back like general woody color, and then like there's the mirror or window or whatever that's supposed to be, and the character, and those are the main focuses. So it's good. The background is not like overpowering too much. But in a scene, if you're sort of like drawing a scene that's meant to display a background, like a lot of webcomics I've seen have like really gorgeous like background painting and everything that they specifically use during panels where like a character's just walking through a background and we're seeing them from a distance, or seeing what like them looking around, and the background is meant to be a focus of, oh, look how pretty it is. In that sort of case, it's totally okay to have it overpowering because it's like the main focus.
I think your transition to the wood, like the wood texture, could be a bit more defined as it comes into the scene where it has her actually in her bed, because it follows that through where it's this sort of murky red, but then it transitions back to the sky and then goes back to that murky red brown stuff. I think adding a little bit more texture into it, because right now it's just like these soft fading dark lines to it. I would personally go for a wood texture on it. If you go look
I
at the
did put a wood texture.
oh,
I just like blurred it because it was very pixely.
okay, I would just amp that up a bit. Maybe like find so you just found a wood texture, went blop to it.
Yeah, basically. I don't know how to draw wood.
So good.
References.
I think I think
hard.
I think that I like this in general, but what I would probably do, or what I would probably say, is that you can probably like reduce the height of this by like 20-30% or something like that, and just like it's like stuff being separated and like clearly defined. You know, this is one panel, this is one panel, this is one part, whatever. That's all good. But if there's like too much separation and too much like stuff not being like directly connected, it can feel a little bit interesting. And I get the feeling that this like is a little bit interesting. So I'd probably just shrink everything. You can overlap things. You can make things like closer together. It's all about using the focal points and using sort of the text bubbles and that sort of stuff to lead you from panel to panel in the way that you want. So you can just shrink everything up and make everything like way closer together, I think.
Like, I think the biggest part I think could really benefit from that, where Twilight says fine. To me, that feels like, okay, that's the end ends there, because there's like a really huge gap there, and fine's just like a very finite finishing word. Again, this is super nitpicky, but yeah, pushing the continuation of Spike doing stuff closer to that, having the fine lead into his actions. That way we don't
I
just
kn-
think, okay,
yeah.
fine,
Oh,
it's
you're
over.
actually on the
I know
link.
there
Oh,
is a
okay.
there's a whole thing about webcomics and the pacings that I have actually. I don't draw a webcomic, but I've read a guide on like how you're supposed to like pace them based on. I think the Webtoon actually made it, but it's I do agree. That's just a sort of continuity, breaking up the sort of pauses so you know to continue scrolling thing.
Let me just pull this thing into Clip Studio. I took a
That's legal.
that's legal. I'm stealing art. I'm sorry.
DMCA.
With those last 4 panels, especially the sort of pop out panels of like Spike rolling up the scroll.
Yeah.
You can probably make that sort of middle one, the one where Spike's actually tying the knot, just like part of the background between the 2 other pictures or something like that. Like
I think I know
don't
what you mean.
yeah. I'm just doing up a little example in Clip Studio. I know, I erased the wrong thing.
Yeah, spacing is a hard thing for me because like it's my first official webtoon that it isn't just like one page. You know, I struggled a lot. I thought some places were too long, and I have clipping errors. Like I'm pretty sure you can spot them where it's like chopped off a little bit too short, and you see there's just a couple of like pixels missing in between 2 pages. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, don't stress too much. It gets easier as you mess around with it. So
Yeah,
no stress.
for your first one, this looks really, really good. Like, don't just because we're being nitpicky. Like, this is really good. You did a lot of good work, and your hard work is paying off. It's always tricky getting your first foray into any new kind of structure or medium, but like it's going good.
You can tell where I stopped, like, being as meticulous with all my details, where see Spike in the foreground and Twilight in the background, and she's kind of just rushed. And from then on, I kind of just wanted to end this, and it was really hard on me. Like, I spent 5 days on this. Yeah, but I still enjoy it, even though it was a little bit rushed at the end. I don't know how to make those ones look as beautiful as like the cute sparkly horn and shit, you know. Sorry.
That's good. Yeah, don't stress too much. Like narrative stuff takes like ages. I've got a comic, and I've been working on it probably for like 7 months, and I hate it. And it's nowhere near where it should be, and it's the worst, and I hate it. But Brett, what can you do when you want to tell stories and stuff?
Keep arting.
Keep arting, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Art until there's no art left to art.
Yeah.
There's a lot of art.
Let me just throw this into voice chat.
Oh, you just compressing them up a little bit. Yeah.
Just condensing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just like it takes a lot of effort figuring out how to compress things nicely and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is worth it, I think.
Yeah, especially when you have like a nice like action set like that, it kind of like all falls into each other like a quick little roll.
Mm. Especially it's important to keep in mind however like big or long your panels are, that's going to be how long they interpret the thing as being. Like for this section that I was doing right here, I imagined, okay, Spike's gonna roll it up, I imagine tying the knot pretty quickly and then pressing the thing. And so like because I imagine tying that knot pretty quickly, I compress the panel a whole bunch because I want the viewer's eyes to just like sort of skip through those 3 panels and be like, okay, just very quickly done.
Yeah, like timing, spacing stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
It's all about making these kinds of decisions. And what moments do you want them to spend a fair while looking through and, this is being done very meticulous, so I'm going to have a few fairly big panels and all that. I will say these panels are very diverse in terms of the camera selection and that sort of stuff, which is good. Yeah, you definitely want that because you'll see it a lot in more amateur sort of comics where they'll have 3 panels, and the characters are doing different things in all the panels, but all of the cameras are from like exactly the same angle and that sort of stuff. And you look at it and you're just like, this isn't really very interesting. But you've changed the camera in a nice way.
I didn't even really do that on purpose, except the 2 last panels before Fine. I felt like just showing the characters talk again would be a little bit repetitive, so I changed the view to the character they're talking to. But that's basically it. Otherwise, like everything else is just, I don't know. I did stuff.
Well, you did stuff pretty well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I also love this like weird little butterfly, spirity sort of shape.
Oh yeah, I was really sad about that. Honestly, I thought like I could have made a better explosion kind of thing, but then again, it's magic, so I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, magic.
I love the first scene so much, honestly. I think it's the one that I spent the most time on with like the full picture of the bed and like Twilight and stuff.
Mm.
Super gorgeous. It's very eye catching. It's like a really good one to open on.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
That's good.
All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Any other art they'd like to have critiqued? Any other, I don't know, rock, paper, scissors games over the internet they'd like to try?
Shoot.
What'd you get, Allie?
I shot. I won
Oh.
by shooting.
Rock, paper, Spock, lasers. Oh, we got a picture by Flair.
Oh, it's Flair.
Hello, Flair. Good to see you again.
Oh, look at that cutie bean pony. That's a cutie bean.
And look, we got room today. Yay! Let's see if it's... Yay! I don't even have to resize! It's down at the bottom! I keep returning to this picture pose. I'm getting better, but it's still a bit awkward to figure out. What's the awkward part, do you feel? Is it them looking at their butt? Is it the wing singular? What's feeling awkward to you? Also, how old are they supposed to be?
I've seen this wing style in a certain new piece of art that was shared on a bed sheet. Oh, actually, no, that's connecting down here. I thought it was like totally disconnected. That's a really interesting sort of wing shape. I like it. Good job.
It's like the pony in mid like wing rotation.
Mm. Uh,
Oh, the hoof touching the ground feels off.
this hoof, I get the feeling you probably know sort of what's feels a little bit awkward about it, about the picture, but like this hoof is definitely one of the more tough to place things, I think. I think that if you look at sort of where the hooves fall, you got these two here. Looking at it from like top down, boom, boom. You got this one here, and this one is kind of like placed in the middle between these two hoops, which sort of makes sense in terms of stability and all that sort of stuff. But I would sort of do something like along these lines. Oh,
Sorry.
I picked trick on.
There we go.
Thank you. Jeez. But I do something like along these lines because this hoof is coming from the opposite side of the body and then like coming into the middle. So you can do something like that. And someone is doing up a good picture there. But just like messing about with sort of the way that this hoof is like sort of positioned and trying to figure out, okay, how can this like look okay? How can you mess with this until it like sort of looks decent. Maybe something. Are the ears right for that angle? I think so.
Yeah.
The thing with the ears is this one is going to be more facing us, and this one's going to be more facing the side, and you've definitely got that. But you can definitely like push this one a little bit more. You know, just push this opening sort of more directly to, or more distinctly to that side. Whenever I'm looking at, it's fine. Stream lag's all good, and it's going to be posted on YouTube later. Whenever I'm like looking at ears, especially from the side and that sort of stuff, I like to look at one side straight, one side like curvy, and I think that like doing that is like a cool way to have some motion in your ears and all that sort of stuff. So, but no, I think your ears look good.
I would definitely raise the head up just a bit, just to give us a little bit more neck. I noticed that it was scrunching up together. You didn't quite give, like, if it's supposed to be a full or like full grown, but that's fine. Even CMC still have like their back still has like a third of a head separation on the neck between the head. So I just raise that thing just a little bit. Give us some room to sort of move around that head a little bit.
I also just added a little bit of cheek here, because around this point of the eye, sort of, you've got your eye. Let's draw down here, I guess. You've got sort of your eye, and sort of the nosy and all that is like there. But like around this part of the eye where it sort of like transitions from like this into this, that's where you're going to see like the cheek bump. And especially if you're looking at it from this kind of an angle, you're going to see like a fairly significant cheek bump. So, and there's a lot of space to the top of the head. You could probably, if you just like the top of the head, let's pick a different color. Top of the head is sort of like around here. You can probably like flatten that off a lot and just be like, you know, top of the head, roughly like that. And I know I said a lot, and that's probably not looking like a lot, but that's a lot to me. So I just had the hair going along there, and it looks okay. Maybe I guess possibly. But I do love this wing. This wing is probably like, I think this wing is probably my favorite wing that I've looked at in the past week.
Yeah, I honestly think the wing's fine. It really does feel like show style how they, actually make the wings flap. So I think you nailed it. If you're going for show style, yeah.
Show style and also just like interesting shapes. It's a wing with attitude, and it might be a good attitude, but it's still a really attitude. You can see that in the one up here, the head is a little bit smaller than the one that you've drawn. And that's just smaller head means older pony. So you can make the head a little bit smaller. I always, once I'm like finished with my like undersketching and that sort of stuff, I will almost always sort of grab the head and be like, okay, I'm shrinking you. You're too
Yeah.
big. I've drawn you too big.
The way I like to keep my heads in line is usually the chest is like if I had to split it into 3 circles, the head, the chest, and the butt. The chest is the smallest circle. The head and the butt are close in size. Not like actually though, like you tuck the tummy up into the butt circle, but the head circle will probably be a little smaller than the butt itself. If you follow the full pony show style guides. But yeah. It all depends on style and proportions.
Yeah.
And proportions of your style.
It's all just style you build up over time. I always have the head and the chest be sort of the main things, and then the towards there are just like almost like a big wing shape. It just like tucks up, and then I just cut it off, and that works for me. It's hard when you're drawing ponies and stuff because like you're trying to represent 3D shapes, but at the same time you also need to apply stylization to them. So yeah, no, the wing looks good.
Yeah.
Is this Ali drawing this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. You can see Ali maybe refining the shape a little bit, separating it out into this like front bit, and then this like more visible sort of connection point and that sort of stuff. But the wing that you drew looks pretty fun. I don't see many issues with it.
Mine's pushing more into like a realistic style. Yours, I really do feel like yours fits really nice with the show style with your style because like your style is very akin to show style. So to me, it works. I interpret it as the wing. The first thing I thought was, okay, it's the wing kind of flapped sort of, and then they're like holding it a little bit out from their body, but it's not fully extended. I was able to read all that just fine. It's it might just feel weird because show style sometimes is weird, and the super simplification of stuff can sometimes throw you off because it's supposed to be super simplified. Um, and I mean, to me, you have all the right parts. So yeah, I just think the major thing is just that front leg, um, to get that bend in and not just have it come out from the
Mhm.
chest, have it go boop boop. Because they have an elbow. It's just really high up against the chest.
A leg
Or
has a
well, I
joint.
guess it's a little lower, but
I know we call
they
ponies
still have it.
marshmallows. I am okay. My mic is working. I know we call ponies marshmallows, but they actually do have joints.
Yeah, to get show style to look 3D, it's gonna be a little strange because when you look at the 3D models of ponies, right? They're just kind of like
Weird.
slabs of flesh. I don't like because they're big thick feathers, very simplified. It's not a bad thing, but
I don't like my ponies being described as slabs of flesh. Thank you.
too bad.
Too bad. Oh.
Oh yeah.
All right. Any follow-up questions, Flair? It's approximately 268 licks to the center of a Tootsie Pop, depending on the size and length of the tongue, if you're wondering.
There's like a food theory episode in that, I think.
I have never pulled off licking to the center of it because I always get bored and just chomp on it.
Yeah, like he's got time for that. Or the saliva.
Also, it hurts the tongue. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried one of those jawbreakers. Not the little ones, but the ones that are the size of the baseball. Those ones used to make my tongue bleed. You knew you had to stop having it when your tongue was starting to smear red on it. I feel like the muzzle didn't quite go right, but I think that might just need more practice on muzzles to get better at doing them at the angles like this.
I think the muzzle structure is good. It's mostly at this point, I think, just a case of working out which of those lines you want to emphasize. So, for example, Ali's thing, yeah, you've got like this edge, that edge, and this edge. You can see like similar sort of focus on things with mine. It's mostly a case of if there's like connecting sort of flesh together, like next to each other. Like for example, here and here, this connects, so you don't really need like a line there. This connects to this, so you don't really need a line there. But this, all of this sticks out in front of like the eye and the cheek sort of behind it and that sort of stuff, which is why I'm drawing that line there. This area with the boom and the boom, this area, these are all sort of in front of the jaw sort of area. And then this little bit here is just like a bit of a crease. And so that's why that line is there. It's a you've got the sort of structure down pretty well. Like the stuff that I've drawn here is like all based on the boxes and stuff that you've drawn. It's just a case of what do I emphasize, which lines do I need to show in order to represent this muzzle accurately and all that sort of stuff. So I think you're going pretty good. I don't think it's too not much off the angle of the face or long or anything like that. I think it looks fine
Yeah.
as is.
I mean, yeah, I would just if you do the line art, I'm sure it would come out just fine. Sometimes having all the building blocks are super helpful, but sometimes it blurs the vision of like what the final lines will actually be.
Mm. Oh, we're arguing about comic pages and comic sites. That's fun.
Wait, what?
No,
Oh, it's happening in voice
don't
chat.
get involved.
There's like a
Oh.
9-person argument going on about
Oh no.
how
I
to
think-
use a web page.
I am looking at pretty horsies because
That's the
pretty
answer.
horsies.
do that. Don't worry about our mortal squabbles.
I think you all just need to ascend to my level and print out everything you see on the internet and stare
Put
at
it on your
that way.
fridge.
Yeah.
Trying to do a shallow far cheek. So, you will get a. All right, let me draw up the top right here. Oh, there's some white line there. Oh no. So, actually, let me do this here. Yeah. Boom. 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 Sort of boom. Boom. eye. Yeah. So the cheek that I've drawn, that we've drawn is sort of like, boom, like pretty bulgy. How you would get a shallow cheek is if it is being sort of pulled down in some way. So, for example, if I had this muzzle here, and they were like really excited, all of this area here would sort of be getting pulled down to like the cheek here. Sorry, to sort of the chin here, and that's where you'd see this being sort of pulled down, and this being a lot more shallow than it sort of is. But because the it just like sort of ends here, it means that everything is sort of like bunched up around here. You see, like even like a line like that doesn't look out of place because it's all like bunched up and that sort of stuff, and it's bunched up in sort of exactly the same way over here, which is why it's sort of like boom, boom,
Blammo.
boom,
Do those
blammo,
faces.
yeah. So you can do shallow cheeks, but the shallowness and how shallow and how puffed out the cheek is will affect the expression that they're pulling and all that sort of stuff. So for an expression like this, you're generally going to get a bit of a puffy cheek, because if there wasn't a puffy cheek, if this was like, you know, fully straight out, then when they tried to do this, there wouldn't be the flesh there to actually like stretch out. It would just be like, no, you can't do that. You can't make any faces like that.
That's a really cute face. He's so happy and squishy.
So cute. Just want to boop. In fact, no, there's not. My layers are disabled. Nope. Boop.
Any other questions, Flair? Because I really hope you keep going on this picture. You know, finish it up.
It's cute.
Yeah.
You always
Whatever
make cutie beans.
you do.
Finishing up pictures is good, but I doing stuff like this is also good. It's fun to like mess around and show off how you're constructing things and getting feedback on that and all that. Yeah, I love it.
Sleepy. I always like it, like really random thought. I always like seeing pictures when they're super simplified, having like the reverse eyelash where it like gets all like big and chunky towards the outside. I think that's always a fun touch in more cartoony stuff, but like
Oh,
it
that's
always
fun.
feels like it's hard to get the balance right.
Mm. I wish you luck in the goal of finishing it off and such.
Yeah. Good luck, have fun. Do art.
Good luck, have fun. Yeah.
Do art, do crime? Wait.
Art is the biggest crime
art
of
crime.
all.
Yep.
I can draw whatever and nobody can stop me.
You say that, Allie.
You know what? That's fair. Not everything should be drawn, especially legal things.
Hasbro can stop you with the DMCA.
They DMCA'd my paper. Like, I hadn't uploaded. I just drew it in a notebook, and I found a DMCA notice.
The lawyers snuck in one night. I still remember going to a con and they had like security lawyers or whatever walking up and down the aisles. It was
Those the cosplayers as the that was great.
no, not cosplayers. It was like it was a panel for the VAs, and I think they were there to make sure that you couldn't like ask them anything.
Oh,
I don't know. They were like actual lawyers. It was like in the description of the panel because they were like, please do not. There will be legal presence present.
No, you're not allowed to answer that. No, you can't answer that. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. Check cheek sizes. Boop cheek sizes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Very cheek
Yeah, I think
sizes.
that's good. It's good to get references from a bunch of different artists as well. It like the cheek size is dependent on your style and the expression, and so don't stress too. It's all about like experimenting and that sort of stuff. That's why like when people like post us their art and like ask for feedback and that sort of stuff, we're going to give feedback, but like a lot of the feedback that we give is going to be like filtered through our own styles. And so like I like a good little poofy cheek, and so most of the cheeks that I draw or redraw or redline are going to be pretty poofy. So don't stress if yours looks different to ours. Because as you go, you'll learn more about what you like seeing and about what about your style makes you excited. And so like as you go, you'll learn. Oh, okay, I like my cheeks to look like this. So I like.
I mean, we could all just go the real horse route and have
Nope.
weird ass angular like cheeks that go into their eyeball and
You
as
can't
they
make me.
whinny in terror. Nay, I say.
No, Allie.
No.
Nay, Winnie.
And they have tiny itty bitty ears at the top of their head. They have these giant, weird, muscular faces and itty bitty ears. Nay.
All right. Well, that appears to be it. So thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.